Hi everyone, my name is Laura and this is the Studio Lazarov YouTube channel. I'm very thrilled to say that today we're going to be reading Sanford Meisner's On Acting, which is a very rare book here in Brazil. We don't have it translated, so we're hoping we can help students around the world with this reading. Chapter 2, Building a Foundation, The Reality of Doing. Meisner says, what's the first thing that happens when they built the World Trade Center? You know that building. Male student. They dig a hole. Well, of course they dig a hole. They don't glue it to the sidewalk. The foundation of acting is the reality of doing. In the first moment of the class of the semester, and without delay, Sanford Meisner states and restates this seemingly simple theme. Wait a minute. Let's say that again. The foundation of acting is the reality of doing. The reality of doing. Now, how do you know what that means? I'll clarify it. After a brief pause, he asks, are you listening to me? Are you really listening to me? Asks. The students respond in chorus. Yes, yes. You're not pretending that you're listening. You're listening. You're really listening? Would you say so? Yes, yes. That's the reality of doing. Let there be no question about what I'm saying here. If you do something, you really do it. Did you walk up the stairs to this classroom this morning? You didn't jump it. You didn't skip up, right? You didn't do a ballet. You really walked up those stairs. He pauses to adjust the small microphone attached to the left temple of his eyeglasses. How many of you are listening to me now? 16 hands are raised obediently. Now listen to me for a minute. Just for yourselves. Listen to the number of cars that you hear outside. Do that. The students, 8 men and 8 women in their 20s and early 30s, lean forward, straining to hear the sounds of New York City traffic filtering through the whir of the air conditioner. After a moment, some close their eyes. A minute passes. Okay, Meisner says to a young man with a neat brown beard. How many cars did you hear? None, the student replies. I heard a plane. A plane is not a car. You heard none. Let me ask you this. Did you listen as yourself, or were you playing some character? As myself. What about you? He asks a thin, dark girl who looks like a model. At first, I was listening as a student. That's a character. And then I was confused because I couldn't hear a car, and the sounds were confusing. Then I heard what I'm pretty sure was a car, and then I got bored, and then I heard another car. So I heard 2 cars. We won't discuss the boredom. The class laughs. Were you, as you said, listening? What's your name? Anna. Were you listening as Anna? At the end. So part of you acting was legitimate and 2/3 of you was pretending. Yes. How many cars did you hear? The question is directed to a woman in her late 20s with luxurious dark hair. I couldn't be sure which sounds were cars. Were you really puzzled, or were you puzzled in character? I don't know. It felt as though I was not quite doing something out the same. So you were half an actress. Then, to a young man in a plaid wool shirt and jeans, how many cars did you hear? None. None. Did you listen as I listened as me, just as John? That's what I want to know. It's a nice feeling. Okay, now choose a melody that you like and sing it to yourself. Just to yourself, not out loud. Clear? Do it. Again, some students close their eyes and after a few seconds of concentration, heads begin bobbing, marking time to melodies only individually heard. How many people were doing it? Meisner asks. For yourselves or theatrically? Who can answer this? Half and half. It's the young woman called Anna. You have a problem. What's your problem? I was very aware of being in a room filled with people consciously listening to different melodies. About halfway through, I got so upset with myself that I was able to forget about it and sing. Yes, that's when you were good. That's when I enjoyed it. I don't know if I was good. It's always enjoyable to be good. He pauses a moment and shifts his gaze to a stocky, blonde, boyish young man in the front row. What about you? I was singing to myself. Like Hamlet? I was trying to enjoy the melody. You were? For yourself, not as Hamlet. For myself. Next, Meisner asks the class to count the number of light bulbs in the room. The answers range between 12 and 16, depending on whether one includes the red bulb over the fire escape sign or excludes the 3 unlit floodlines angled down from a beam in the middle of the ceiling. The answers were unimportant. What is crucial is the doing of the task, the counting of the light bulbs, not the results. Did you count in character, theatrically? Meisner asks. Or did you count? 931 times 18. Try to do that in your head, he goes on. 931 times 18. The correct answer is 7,058, and no one even comes close to figuring it out. Again, that's not the point. You may be right, you may be wrong, Meisner says. That's like life. People come to different conclusions. That's why some are Democrats and some are Republicans. But how many tried? You know, it's all right to be wrong, but it's not all right not to try. Look, Meisner says, examine the partners sitting next to you and give me, when I ask for it, a list of what you observe. 16 heads turn to scan the person now called for the first time the partner. When she's asked, the blonde girl in the second row says about the man seated to her right. I observed red hair. I observed their soft green shirt, which had pink and gray and beige stripes, and that was a size medium. I observed a rash on his neck. He has blue eyes and short, thin, lighter colored eyelashes. Small hands, kind of burly. Leans over a lot, stocky. Green pants, brown shoes, leather with rubber soles, I think. Clean ears and clean fingernails. Small lips that stay together and mostly turn under. Okay, was this observation done by you or by some character out of a play? I don't know the answer. In honesty, I can't quite distinguish which is which. Are you talking to me now? Or is Lady Macbeth talking? I'm talking to you. That's you. That's you in person. Your observation was straight, unaltered observation. What you observed, not a character in a play. He asks John, the young man in the plaid shirt, are you looking at me now? Yes. As Othello? No. As who? As myself, I guess. That's right. Can you hold on to that? So let's continue. I started this class by saying that the basis of acting is the reality of doing. How does that definition compare with what we've been doing? John says, if we simply do it, we're not focusing on ourselves. You're attached to something outside of yourself, Meisner adds. What else? If you're really doing it, then you don't have time to watch yourself doing it. You only have the time and energy to do it, says Ray, the young man with the neat beard. That's very good for your acting. Anyone else? Sarah says, they all seem to be very concrete, doable things. Everything I've asked you has been concrete and doable. What about the word concrete? Well, it's tangible. You can look at something and actually count their eyelashes, or you can count the light bulbs. Something that really exists specifically, Meisner says. Now, what does the reality of doing means? An intense-looking young man who has not spoken before says, when you do something, you really do it, rather than pretend that you're doing it. And you don't do it like the character. You don't do it like a character. When you play the piano, do you open the lid first or do you just play it closed? Meisner asks. Well, musically speaking, the opening of the piano is similar to the reality of doing. Are there any questions here? You gave us things to do that you can really do, like observing another person or listening to cars. And if you're really concentrated, or just listening to cars or looking at the person, you don't have to worry about being a character. You have one thing to do and concentrate on. That is the character. That's the character? Yes. So you don't have to play at being the character. It's right there in your doing it. Right. Do you understand that? Every play, whether it's by that comedy writer, what's his name? Neil Simon? Yeah, every play is based upon the reality of doing. Even Lear's shaking his fist at the heavens. Shakespeare, King Lear. That's based on the actor thundering against fate. Can you see that? He pauses. This will go further in you than you may suspect at the moment. That's all right. It will unveil itself. It will reveal itself gradually. It is the basis, the foundation of acting. So, at the end of the chapter, it is another beginning. You'd think I'd quit, Meisner says to his assistant, Scott Roberts, as they wait for the elevator, which will take them to Meisner's paneled office, one floor below the classroom. Somebody should shoot me, as they do aged horses, because he was sick. Scott nods and smiles. But you know, this class is an attractive group and full of promise. The question is, how many of them will learn to act? Scott nods again and pushes the button for the elevator one more time. In the basement, an electric motor drones into life. I've been teaching for over 50 years, and in that near eternity, I have attempted to teach literally thousands of young people how to act. And I haven't done too badly. I did well with you, for example. Thank you, Scott says. But if I choose to do well on my overall success rate, I'd probably give up, so I don't. The elevator arrives and they enter it. Acting is an art, and teaching acting is an art too. Or it can be. Ultimately, it's a question of talent, of theirs meshing with mine. So time will tell. But I must say, it's good to begin again. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe and join us for more.